Welcome back to Autism Live. You know, on the show, we talk about the power of one, that one person stands up and does something and it can change the entire equation for a lot of people, not just that one person. And it's always very exciting to me these people that do things are always my heroes. And I want to welcome to the show a mom, Cathy Beier, who is my newest hero. She is a mom on a mission and has done something that I didn't know you could do. I just have to be honest, Cathy. I said this to you the other day in an email. I'm so impressed. I'm so in awe. I want to be you when I grow up, uh, because and we're going to get into your story, but in a nutshell, you took on, it's like David and Goliath. You took on the insurance company. You not only won that, but then you wrote about it and got it published in an amazing space, the behavior analysis in practice, which doesn't usually post print things from a parent. So I am like major in awe of you. And I just want to say congratulations and thank you on behalf of all of us for standing up, standing in your truth, following through, and then getting it in print. It's impressive, Cathy. So welcome.
Thank you, Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thrilled to have you. Let's talk first about so there's this paper and it's in behavior analysis in practice.
Yes.
What is it? Why did you write it in a nutshell? What happened?
My son Thomas has autism. He has been a card client since the year 2000, almost 18 years now. He's come a million miles. You know, he started off with the very most basic drills because he was almost nonverbal, and now he does things like banking and shopping and social skill. Now his program is much more advanced, but the ABA method is still the same method that it's been all along. I started having a problem with my health insurer, Cigna, in November of 2014, when my supervisor told me that at their periodic reauthorization and funding reviews, they were saying, why haven't you transferred treatment over to the parents? And she said, huh? Why would I do that? And they said, oh, no, your job is to teach the parents to do their own ABA on their own child. And she said, no, it's not. And what do you know, in January of 2015, Cigna rolled out a new version of their medical necessity criteria, their list of rules you have to meet to get funding for ABA care. And one of them was that goals must be designed to transition treatment to parents or caregivers. And this is about the same nonsense as if they told you, if your pediatrician said, why aren't you practicing your own pediatrics on your kid? Or why aren't you prescribing their meds or their speech or their OT or any of the services our kids need? I am not a BCBA. I've worked closely with some very, very wonderful ones for many years, but I don't do what they do. And truthfully, I think Dr. Freud would be appalled at the idea that your mom should be your amateur behaviorist after school. It's just not right. So I got embroiled in a big dispute with Cigna. They denied funding. I appealed. They denied. I appealed. We went around and around. But in the course of all these appeals, one of the things I did was Google the name of the doctor at Cigna who was saying no to me. And this doctor had just published her own paper, two of them, two people that worked for Cigna, had published a paper in Behavior Analysis in Practice, the professional journal for BCBAs, saying parents have to take this stuff over, saying that ABA is like riding a bike and your job is just to hand them a bike and hold on to the back for a couple weeks, maybe a year until they get their balance together, and then they take off on their own and off they go. And to me, this is a completely preposterous model of medical service delivery. I can't do that. I wouldn't do it if I could. It's not right. As I've said, I know a lot about behavior therapy, and I've worked with some outstanding behaviorists, but that does not qualify me to do their job any more than they'd be qualified to do my job. It just isn't like that. So in the course of researching my appeal, I came across this article that these two doctors had published, and it made me very angry. And I wrote a letter to the editor never expecting that it would get published. And in fact, the early version of it was considerably more strenuous, and I believe alluded to the fact that these individuals would not know what to do with an autistic 4-year-old if one kicked them in the shins. These people know nothing about ABA. They have no basis to be opining about anything. They're completely unqualified. So I wrote that letter, and there it sat. And in the meantime, eventually, I did win the appeal. It was long and hard, and I spent a lot of money and a ton of time and resourcefulness and pushback. And I got to say, the only reason I was able to win, the only reason I was still there to win, is because Regional Center came in and funded my son's therapy during the appeal. If it weren't for that, the pocket veto would have worked. They would have just cut it off. And even if I turned out to be right a year from now, I can't get that year back of my son's life. You know, you can't drop therapy and figure your same team will be there waiting to pick it up when your insurance company changes their mind. So through a combination of a lot of hard work and good fortune, we were able to keep his therapy going to the point where we won the appeal and eventually switched insurers, and on we go. But behavior analysis in practice, unusually, was very gracious and very forthcoming and worked with me and edited my letter quite a lot to where they felt they could publish it because they thought it was a worthwhile point. And in fact, that phrase, transition treatment to parents, is now gone. Cigna no longer requires that.
It's amazing what you did. I feel how important it was for you because of your son. It was his treatment. As you said, you couldn't have gotten that year back. But I have to say that, one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on and talk about this is to show other parents that it can be done. Because sometimes we just were like, well, I don't even know if that's possible. But so you have set a path through some virgin snow for us, for others to walk in your snowshoes. And that's a really important thing. But I was wondering if you could give us any insight into it. I know it was hard. And I know that there had to have been bumps along the way. How did you steel yourself to get through it, Cathy?
It's very hard, but it's what Thomas needed me to do. It was an ugly situation. About a month after the denial, Thomas and my husband were involved in a car accident, which was incredibly traumatic for him. He's still not all the way back from it because he didn't know that was a possibility. He'd never seen one on TV or in the movies or anything. So this was the worst possible time of his life to dump ABA, and I just could not let that happen. As far as how I did it and what I would say to other parents, you actually have a lot more rules and opportunities than you think. And the reason you don't think you have any rights is because the insurance company or whatever the funding agency is very motivated to let you think that. They want you to think that. And they put useless, helpless, maddening people on the phone to try to discourage you and get you to go away. And they require you to write things down and mail them, and they cheat in every imaginable administrative way, whether it's lying about when they got something or when they sent something, or, they're just full of nonsense, and that's their job. And you mentioned to me that, and believe me, I understand, people feel like little bitty pawns on somebody else's chessboard, and we are. But the sooner you recognize that and look around and realize you're in a chess game, the sooner you quit playing checkers and win the game. So yes, the process of appealing an insurance company denial, it took me 18 months altogether. It shouldn't take that long for most people. It is difficult. It is frustrating. You are dealing with people who will drive you crazy on purpose and be glad of it because that's their job. But yeah, you can win if you're right. Sure. I won because I was right. I am not able to bully Cigna into doing anything they don't want to do. They just had another doctor tell them, get over yourselves. You can't say this.
Yes. And when I think about, Cathy, how many times there are little decisions that get made all the time that have a huge impact. And, this wasn't on my radar at all. I didn't know that Cigna had put this into our plan. We hear them talking about the fact that, parents need to learn these techniques to be able to do them at home. And I have heard people talk about this rumbling about, well, eventually it transitions to the parents. And I think they kind of smooth it over like, oh, that all makes sense. And it wasn't until I read what you had written that I realized, oh my gosh, you're completely right. And they have been sort of peddling this mind changing thing as if we are going to all become BCBAs. So the fact that you stopped it in its tracks in fairly early days and prevented this from happening to, I don't know, countless other families. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it again. You're a hero. This is amazing that you did this.
Thank you. You're very sweet. I did it for my own child, and yes, absolutely, it's helped him. And if it helps anybody else, I'm delighted. If there's anything I can do or contribute or explain, always here to help other families.
Well, I
When I
believe,
was
I was just going to say, I believe that there are families that don't even know that they dodged this bullet, that you got there first and dodged this bullet for them. So I'm sorry, what were you about to say?
How many rocks along the autism journey have I not tripped over because somebody else moved them out of the road first? And that's the way it is for all of us. We're on this path together, and if somebody does you wrong, overturn it if you can, and don't let it happen to the next family or the next family or the next.
I am so grateful that you are a member of my tribe. Honestly. I look,
Grateful to be a member of your tribe, Shannon. Thank you.
I look forward to getting to meet you sometime. Thank you so much. In parting, is there any last minute advice for families that need to do an appeal for their insurance company? Is there any nugget of wisdom of how you go, even start the process?
Sort out the actual medical clinical needs and the services that your child needs from all the administrative nonsense, and do the administrative nonsense, but put it in a box. Understand that yes, this person on the phone is wasting my time and giving me a hard time because that's your job, and get onto the phone to her boss. Just figure that frustration is going to be part of the process. Work around it and keep going. Don't let them put you off, because then they win.
You're amazing. Thank you so much for being with us, Cathy.